What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other day I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a post by JGod, which honestly really made me want to spark up this video here because me, myself, and also many of the other players that I play Black Ops 6 with have noticed the same exact post. And it's really making me start to think that Activision might be getting a tad bit desperate here with trying to pull people back into the multiplayer experience. As we already know, Black Ops 6 multiplayer is not the most popular, and obviously, I think there's many different reasons. But as time goes on, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to fight against the mass, crowd of individuals who are going to fight about this every single day. But of course, as you can see right here from JGod over on Twitter, saying, when did they start asking this? What was the difficulty level of the match you just played? And again, I saw this same exact post as well. And again, many other people that I know have gotten this through Black Ops 6. But as you can see right here, what was the difficulty level of the match you just played? You have been selected to answer a game quality survey question. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and will be used to create a better gaming experience for all Call of Duty Black Ops 6 players. This is absolutely absurd, and again, I witnessed the same exact thing. Honestly, I didn't really think too much of it at first because, it just seemed so awkward, and I was so used to them saying, how fun was your current match, so on and so forth. But now I'm starting to see them in waves, not just simply like one or two people receiving this survey. I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals are being thrown, this exact survey their way to discuss how sweaty or not sweaty the current lobby is. And this right here, to me personally, directly points towards skill-based matchmaking within Call of Duty. All the other questions we have gotten before were mostly directed around how much fun you were having in a match, if it was a lot of fun, if it was really boring, so on and so forth. But now, these questions are directed around the difficulty level of the game that you just played. Whether it was too difficult, perfect, just right, or feels way too easy. But again, these questions, to me personally, directly look like, Activision is trying to get feedback on how players feel during their match-to-match basis. And it's strange because it's almost like they've been messing around with the matchmaking and testing things drastically to kind of get numbers maybe for themselves behind the scenes. Because the other day, we were having an absolute blast. I mean, the sessions were just insane. We were stomping. You can even go back on the stream. I mean, we were almost dropping a nuke every single game at that point. It was absolutely wild. And then the day afterwards, it's just absolutely sweaty to the max. Again, not bad. We still fight back and we have some good matches. We have some bad matches, so on and so forth. But your typical Call of Duty experience where you're not really seeing people running around with random variety. You mostly see people rocking, the ranked loadouts and, their high levels and very competitive players, so on and so forth. It was like two completely opposite experiences. And personally, I've never really witnessed that. Call of Duty is usually one way or the other. Either it's not enough people online, so you get, a few good days of it being casual, or again, Call of Duty is just, I guess, kind of peaking and it's a lot of sweats online, and you get those games day after day after day after day, I don't really see such major drastic changes in matchmaking from a day-to-day basis like this. Like I said, usually it's consistency across the board. That was just wild. And I was not the only one who noticed it. Everybody I've been playing with, everybody I'm trying to chat with and, get ideas from to see how their matches have been saying the same exact thing. They noticed it was ridiculously casual, and then the next day out of nowhere, it got ramped completely up. I personally believe that they might be testing things out behind the scenes and sending out these surveys to see how the community feels about the overall algorithm. And the reason I think that they're doing this is because of the brand new introduction of Warzone Casuals. I'm going to be real. Ever since Warzone Casuals has been introduced into the experience, it has just done absolute wonders for the community. Now, again, it's not saving anybody because there's still the sweat lords who go in there for some strange reason and just absolutely, they pull out meta, they sweat their butts off while everybody's just, running around. They don't really care. They're chatting it up with their buddies. These dudes are just like snorting up a bunch of Adderall and just going to town in these Warzone casual lobbies. But I would say the mass majority of those matches, I don't really witness that. And for the first time in a long time, I genuinely had a good time playing COD with my friends. I rarely ever get to do such a thing because basically the way the matchmaking goes, if they party up with me, they're going to be dealing with my experiences. It's not going to be a random variety of lobbies and a nice mix where sometimes it'll be competitive, sometimes it won't be competitive. No, it's going to average out all of our scores. It's going to see that my KD is, pretty high compared to, my friends. And they're going to make sure that I have to compete as well. So since I have to compete to the max, guess what? My friends have to compete to the max. And they don't play, the same way I do. And it's not fair to force them into that mentality. So in all reality, we just don't simply play COD like that. We might play other games here and there, but in all reality, we just don't really game that much anymore. It's just as simple as that. It's not worth it. It's way too tedious, and it ruins pretty much everybody's vibe and experience. Instead of us just sitting there chatting it up, having a good time, it's either we're locked in communicating or we're just, tired and nobody wants to deal with it. Usually you guys know which one it opts into. We're tired and we don't want to deal with it. So it's been kind of rough. And again, like I said, I think Activision notices this. It can't just be me and my friends group. It has to be a lot of other people out there who are just trying to casually hop on. And again, I'm not talking about people who are ready to compete like I do on my stream. I always have people who also want to compete and we're ready for skill-based matchmaking. We'll squad up. We'll go into the lobbies. It's always sweaty, but it is what it is. At least we know we're ready to go into it. But for people who are just trying to casually play a game with their friends after a long work day or anything of that sort, they're not trying to be competitive. They're just trying to casually play. It's just not worth it. And like I said, I think it's a lot of other groups of people out there who just don't feel like keeping up with it. It's not worth their time. And they're starting to slowly see that there's so many other games out there that aren't going to make them sweat in that way. But the second Warzone casuals came into the mix, my friends instantly got back on the experience, and for the first time in a long time, I have been consistently playing with them, and it's been an absolute blast. And sadly, it's the only way to go ahead and play with my friends. But I think that Activision is seeing this, and they're seeing that casuals are enjoying this. They're actually heading in this direction because it's just way more laid back, and they can actually vibe out with their homies. And they might be trying to incorporate something into the multiplayer experience. Now, I know, more than likely not, but with how they're handling things and sending out these surveys, it's making me second guess, everything about this. And it's making me believe that maybe they are kind of worried about how the multiplayer experience is being handled. Because in all reality, if you hop on to Black Ops 6, it's nothing but the sweatiest of the sweat. Max levels, prestige masters everywhere, people with maxed out camos. The player base, you could tell. And again, this is not coming from a Black Ops 6 hater. I think Black Ops 6 gameplay-wise is actually very fun. If it didn't have skill-based matchmaking, I think more people would be able to dabble in it. But down to the base, if it just had better maps, I would be much more pleased. Minus skill-based matchmaking, of course. And we're slowly getting there. So again, this is coming from someone who isn't like, completely saying Black Ops 6 is the worst thing in the world. Not at all. But it is the reality of things here, ladies and gentlemen. The sweat that your everyday average person has to go through on a day-to-day basis in COD. Trust me, those people are starting to see that it's not worth putting that effort and time into that game. And again, it boils down to the game just being those people who can push through with the sweat. Like I said myself, and I know a lot of other people who don't mind sweating it out a bit, but we are pretty much the only ones who are willing to do so. So it's just competition on top of competition on top of competition. Because your everyday average person does not want to deal with it. The only people who really benefit tremendously from this are the very, 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 very below average players. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way down there. But if you are just an average guy, the skill-based matchmaking is going to affect you, and it's going to put you in that constant, tedious loop. It's going to get you at some point in time, and if it hasn't gotten you yet, if you're a fresh player into COD, it's going to catch up to you. I promise. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like I said before, I think Activision is finally catching on to this, but they don't want to admit it. I don't think they're ever going to admit that they were wrong and skill-based matchmaking is the best thing ever. But why else would they be sending out surveys to ask you the difficulty level of your current matches? Like, what other thing could they contribute those stats towards besides the skill-based matchmaking bracket? They have to be testing things out. And honestly, I'll be real with you guys, even if they found a way to just incorporate a casual multiplayer side mode, so instead of, casual Warzone, you could do casual multiplayer. And low-key, it's stupid because, obviously that's what the casual gameplay should just be itself. Unless you're in rank, there shouldn't be any strict matchmaking like that. But if it really has to be this way, there should be a casual multiplayer, maybe a few bots, on each team. And I don't know, there has to be some way or some disadvantage of this type of gameplay. There has to be maybe no streaks or I don't know, reduced XP or something like that so you don't level up that quickly. Maybe it's like a quarter of the XP that you would actually be able to earn. I want to know what you guys think would be the perfect way that they could balance this out. But it would be great to see a casual version, just like Warzone casual, where it's a bunch of bots and you can still progress and have fun. There has to be something maybe like that in multiplayer as well. That would be great. Either that or hopefully they tone down the skill-based matchmaking, but I'm assuming that's not happening anytime soon. So I'm curious what's going to be happening here, but I don't know. I just wanted to fill you all in on these details. I'm curious to see if any of you guys actually got this survey, and let me know how you filled it out as well. Was it good? Was it bad? Oh man, I'm hoping something comes out of this, but it does seem that Activision is curious right now on why literally their whole population for BO6 is nothing but the, sweat lords who are sticking around and nobody else cares about returning back to the experience. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And of course, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, got to link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.